Hi everybody, welcome to this week's installment of I Can't Hear You Now. Again, my name is Shane, and I thought today I would talk about patience and understanding. This is probably the most quintessential thing for someone that's in the hard of hearing community and the latent deaf community, because everybody in the situation needs to have patience and understanding. The patience is going to come from the loved ones and the family, and the understanding is going to be what I'm going to give you towards that. Now, first thing I'd like to talk about are misconceptions. Some of the misconceptions about the hard of hearing people. First, selective hearing. We do not have selective hearing, even though it does sound like that when you're talking to us, where sometimes we hear you and sometimes we don't. It's not selective hearing, it's more situational. So it's kind of like if you're talking to us and we're looking at you, we hear everything you say. But if we turn away and you're on our deaf side, or we turn away and it's a little bit noisier than normal, we might go from hearing you from looking at you to not hearing you. And it's going to look like we're not listening to you. Big misconception is it's not selective hearing. It's just literally we've lost that focus and we can't hear you. The best thing to do in that, for the little understanding, is get our attention. If we're looking at you, we're more prone to be able to understand what you're saying and hear what you're saying so much more better. The second misconception, hearing aids. Hearing aids, I know in the hearing community, and I've had people tell me this, that when they see someone with a hearing device on, they suddenly and immediately think your hearing is normal, so they can talk to you normal. It is so not the truth. Hearing aids help. They improve so much. They help the hard of hearing person so much, but they don't bring your hearing back to normal. There is no normal. The hearing aid becomes a new normal. So again, it does require us to focus, and we still have to kind of look at you. Sound still plays an aspect into it. So just because you see a hearing aid on somebody don't think that their hearing is normal and that you can treat them that way. You still have to take the consideration that they are still hard of hearing. Now, interestingly enough, my partner informed me today that he learned through being with me that he never understood or never thought of hard of hearing as an aspect of deafness, which kind of confused me at first. I thought it was kind of interesting. I never thought about that, but in actuality it is, because there are parts of the hearing that are deaf. If you're on my bad side and I don't have my hearing aid on, you can talk to me till you're blue in the face. I'm not going to hear you. I'm deaf to you. So those are some misconceptions that I kind of wanted to put out there for better understanding of people in your lives. Patience comes in. Be patient with that situation. Do your best to get their attention, to make sure that they're hearing you. Don't just assume that, he heard me 5 minutes ago, he's going to hear me now. That's an assumption that's going to probably land you in some trouble every single time. It's going to come up with a lot of frustration. So the best bet is find ways to get their attention when you're talking to them. Some of the things that I do around the house with my partner and my daughter is touch. If I have my back to them and they're talking to me, I expect them to come up and just touch me on the shoulder. Don't tap. That's so obnoxious. Don't tap them. Poke them with your finger. Touch them. Just put your hand to get their attention, and I'll look, and they'll talk. My 11-year-old does that now. If I'm doing something, she'll walk and rest her hand on my arm. That way I know she needs my attention. I can look and hear the conversation, so I'm not constantly going, what, or having them say, did you hear me, and getting frustrated when they thought that I was listening and I wasn't. Each person's going to come up with their own ways of the best way to get their attention. Now, for me, the best way to talk to me is if I'm looking at you. A large aspect of my hearing focuses on the little bit of lip reading that I do along with my hearing to kind of supplement what I might miss. So, everybody in my life knows the best way to talk to me, if you want to carry a conversation, is to get my attention. Unless we're having that conversation where I start to do something, I can split my focus if I keep that focus the whole time. But the moment that focus breaks, it's one or the other. So it's either what I'm doing or hearing. And it's typically I give up on the hearing part, because that takes a lot of focus to keep up doing that while you're doing a second task. And that's a lot harder when you become hard of hearing, because that focus it's so intense and it can be very mentally draining. So have patience with people. that are hard of hearing or that they're losing their hearing, and it kind of falls onto your loved ones and family to help you keep up with that and help keep up with that. And if they have to kind of keep up the idea that it's a little noisy, I need to get his attention, or he's doing something, I need to get their attention, and don't just start talking. Passing conversation becomes a thing of the past when you become hard of hearing, because you can't walk past me talking to me, and once you're behind me, expect me to hear you, because you're now in my deaf zone. So the conversation stops when you get past me. If you're around corners, don't expect me to hear. I might hear something, noise, someone talking, but it doesn't necessarily mean I think you're going to be talking to me. So, patience. Be very, very patient. Do your best to get their attention. And, some people might like to be touched. Work with your partner, your husband, your wife, your brothers, your sisters, your moms, your dads, whoever it is. Work with them to find out what makes them more comfortable to get their attention. Maybe it might be just waving your hand, because we can still see motion. And, we do that now. I have my partner, if I'm doing something, I'll see movement out of the corner of my eye, and he's waving his hand, and I'll look, and he'll start talking to me. He's doing things to get my attention. You don't got to throw things at him, and making noise to get a deaf or hard of hearing person's attention is probably not the best thing to do, because noise is the problem. We can't hear it. So the best thing to do is work with your loved ones, your family, or whoever that is hard of hearing, to come up with the best way to get their attention, so communication can be open, so there is not that frustration on both sides. Because remember, the frustration is coming from both sides. It's frustrating as a hard of hearing person to not hear the conversation, and it's also frustrating for that loved one to feel like that person's not listening to you. And it's just again, it's about patience and understanding, and each side has to have patience. Each side has to be understanding of what's going on. So just to tell a quick little story of how much of an impact it can have. Like I said in one of my videos before, I am a nurse. I worked in the OR for a couple years, and if you remember, a lot of my hearing that I will tell you is based on being able to read lips. And when I went to the OR, I thought, hey, the OR is kind of quiet, there's operations going on, I'll be able to hear and figure out what's going on. Well, I actually got pulled into the office one day at work, because the doctors and the nurses in the room were telling my boss that I wasn't paying attention in the OR, and that they felt that I needed to focus more. So they pulled me in and talked to me, and I didn't have the Baha device. I had normal hearing aids at that point. It was before this, and they told me that I was going to be given a verbal warning, because I wasn't paying attention on the job, and that I needed to focus more. And that was when I was like, I looked at my boss and I said, you do realize that I'm hard of hearing? And they're like, oh, well, and then it kind of got uncomfortable, and I said, yeah. I said, you really have to probably get my attention if it's noisy. And she goes, well, we're going to need you to focus and pay attention. I said, it's not about paying attention. It's about getting my attention, because if there's a lot of noise, I don't hear that you're talking to me. So you have to do something to get my attention. And of course, they didn't care. I still got the verbal warning, and it was very frustrating to me, because it was like, now I'm getting written up for something that I don't have any control over. So, again, it's all about patience and understanding, and it can impact you on the job, in the family, and it's the same way that misconception that someone is hard of hearing, that they're ignoring you or they're not paying attention. It's not that we're not paying attention. It's more that we just can't hear you. So there is that aspect of deafness that's influencing there. So I hope this video helped, and I hope with this you kind of get that understanding of each side. And I hope you can go out and use this information and improve your communication with your loved ones and your family members. So until next time, have a great day. Thank you.